The Jamison family, Sherilyn, 40, Bobby, 44, and Madison, 6, disappeared from Red Oak, Oklahoma on October 8, 2009. They were 30 miles from their home in Eufaula, Oklahoma at the time. The family was reportedly looking to purchase a 40-acre plot in that area. The circumstances of their disappearance may point to foul play. Their vehicle was found in the area with a family dog malnourished and still inside. Some believed them to be involved in drug dealing, due to the large amount of money found in the truck, Bobby and Sherilyn's strange behavior prior to vanishing, and their reported emaciated appearances. Some believed the parents were hooked on methamphetamine. The couple was filmed on a surveillance camera loading up the car that day, appearing to be in a daze. The money could have been for the parcel of land they intended to buy, but it was well known by their family that the Jamisons were struggling financially. One of the major pieces of evidence that became a source of debate was the last photo taken on Bobby's cell phone of 6-year-old Madison. The photo was taken one day before the family's disappearance. Family members have stated that they feel the picture was not taken by either Sherilyn or Bobby and that the look on Madison's face is one of distress. There was also reason to believe the family had enacted a murder-suicide scenario in the woods. Sherilyn suffered from bipolar disorder and was known to fall into depressive moods and manic moods during which she would get jealous and angry. Bobby was also known to have suffered from depression on and off throughout his life. An 11-page letter written by Sherilyn was found in the abandoned vehicle and was very critical and disparaging towards Bobby. Sherilyn's pistol was also missing. The final theory was that the family simply wandered into the woods and became lost. Their families do not believe this is a suitable answer, as Bobby was familiar with the wilderness and would not have left their beloved dog in the car. The family also believes that due to Bobby's back problems he was not in a physical condition to agree to wandering aimlessly around the woods. Finally, in November of 2013, the skeletal remains of a child and 2 adults were discovered less than 3 miles from where the abandoned truck had been located. Authorities could not confirm that the remains were those of the Jamisons until July 3, 2014. A cause of death could not be determined. A large hole was found in the skull of Bobby Jamison, but where it came from could not be determined due to the level of decomposition. Their case remains unsolved, but authorities do not believe foul play was involved.
I thought about the days thing. My dysfunctional family would be able to take stuff in and out of cars without talking to each other for hours as well, even days. I don't mean it as a joke. I wonder if the Jamisons' behavior on camera was really a sign or not.
The murder-suicide theory is interesting. We know Sherilyn had discharged her gun at near a roommate before because he'd allegedly made threats against people of her ethnicity and refused to leave her property. While this isn't 100% irrational, I'm questioning whether good gun ownership practices were followed in this situation. I've been taught basic gun safety, and shooting ghosts on the roof of the house wasn't a topic that was covered, so I can't speak to whether the husband was a responsible gun owner. In all seriousness, both adults seem to have used guns to solve problems in the past, so I'd say a murder-suicide scenario is possible.
I think it is possible too, especially since Sherilyn's gun was missing. When they say missing, I'm presuming they knew she owned it, and it was not found in the car, at the home, or with the bodies. So where is it? I guess she could have hid it somewhere others wouldn't have found it, not sure why, but these didn't seem like the most rational of people, and it does somewhat bother me it wasn't found with the body. I'll throw out this scenario, although I don't think it is very likely. What if someone stumbled upon the bodies in the years they were missing, didn't want to report it, for whatever reason, and took the gun? I don't think this is a good explanation, especially considering how rural the location was, but maybe it's possible? I think that if Bobby saw that 11-page note that Sherilyn wrote to him about him, an argument could have escalated. Maybe one of them went into the woods, and the other followed with Madison, hoping they could convince the other person to come back, and not thinking it would escalate into violence, and it did. That would explain leaving all their personal effects plus beloved dog into the car. They were expecting on returning quickly. It would also explain the gun being missing. The scenario I'm envisioning has an argument going on, Sherilyn taking off into the woods with a gun, maybe threatening to kill herself, or maybe just stomping away angry, and Bobby goes after her with Madison, believing he can talk her out of it. It's not a perfect scenario, as the gun missing really does throw me for a loop.
I also wonder, were there fingerprints on the camera? If not, did it appear to be swiped?
I agree about the picture. It looks like that little girl is not happily playing at all.
If it was murder-suicide, there would have to be a gun found near the bodies. And if a gun were found, why can't law enforcement just announce that it was a murder-suicide and be done with it? This makes me doubt murder-suicide, but then again, why does law say they do not suspect foul play? If they have reason for thinking it's a murder-suicide, I really wish they would just come out and explain what was found. I mean, what are they waiting for if there's no investigation going on?
What makes the family think the photo wasn't taken by the parents? Unless there's something to that, I don't think the photo means anything. It could have been as simple as Mum told her she couldn't have her sweets right then, so she crossed her arms and started crying. We all did that as kids. Or she could have been fine, and the photo was just taken in the split second her expression looked off. Happens all the time. Is there any evidence to point to them being hooked on any drugs? I obviously didn't know them, so wouldn't know, but phew, they don't look like typical drug addicts. Their teeth and skin generally look fine, the eyes aren't sunken or dark. It's hard to tell just from the faces, but they don't look an unhealthy weight, and the skin isn't sunken or particularly aged. 40 to 44-year-olds. For all I know, they could have smoked pot, but they don't look characteristic of being hooked on something harder, and pot doesn't drive you to commit a murder-suicide. I've not seen the CCTV footage yet, but from what some users have said on here, it sounds like they were just packing their car while not really talking to each other. I don't think that's abnormal. It seems logical to me that while doing a repetitive task, you might get lost in thought and see no need for conversation. It could have even been that they had a minor argument and just had the huff with each other. I also don't think it necessarily means anything that her pistol was missing. May sound a little extreme, but she could have just taken it for protection, maybe from wild animals, just in case. And if it was a murder-suicide, wouldn't the gun be found near the bodies? Also, why would they leave their beloved dog to die in the car if it was a murder-suicide? I just think it's easy to take things completely out of context when there's a case like this. Things that may have been completely normal for that family, we can easily see as an aspect of their disappearance. I'm gonna read further into this before believing any one theory myself, just wanted to point out a lot of points here may have been misinterpreted. Point out